Phasm Giants podcast, the podcast that talks about Doctor Who and Star Wars, hosted by Lee Croddick. Welcome and hope you enjoy listening to this episode. Happy Star Wars Podcast Day from Phasm Giants. Welcome back to the podcast. As you see in the title, I am celebrating Star Wars Podcast Day. This is on the 7th of February. This began all the way 25 years ago in 1999. And this was the first Star Wars podcast to ever be released. And it was called Jedi Talk. I want to give a huge shout out to all you podcasters who are doing podcasts today. Thank you. Let's keep it going. This one is basically going to be all about a Mandalorian apprentice. Yes, it's Grogu. Seriously, Mando meant a lot to me as a viewer. I think the last episode of the series showed some momentous moments. As you know, Grogu left the Jedi back in the Book of Boba Fett, but pulled out, which led to his path to be like his father. So he started to go on the way of the Mandalore, but he was tutored by his father and of course the armourer. Also, they're going to be getting their own movie, Mandalorian and Grogu, which is brilliant. Filming should be starting very soon, maybe in the next few months. We don't know what's happening, but stay tuned on social media to find out any news. So, what am I going to talk about in this episode? I'm going to talk about certain characters and topics on Din Grogu's road to Mandalorian Apprentice, and at the end I'm going to talk about why I love it. So, I want to do something different. Because it's Star Wars Podcast Day, I want to start with a little bit of difference. So, I want to do a quick intro about me and, of course, the podcast. If you don't know me, I am well known for doing fanfiction, blogs and YouTubing. Also, I run Grogu Coruscant, which is a Star Wars YouTube channel. And I also run this podcast. I love adventure game shows for Boyard. There's also Raven. I love watching gymnastics. Of course, there's some fantastic gymnastic shows coming up. Doctor Who, of course, I am a big fan, and there's also another feature of the podcast as I talk Doctor Who, and of course Star Wars, which I began in 2022. I started the podcast back in 2022. This was obviously focusing on Doctor Who and Star Wars. I started off with a preview to Jodie Whittaker's last ever Doctor Who episode, which was Power of the Doctor, and then throughout the rest of the year I introduced 5-minute reviews, and I did 7 reviews for the Book of Boba Fett starring Tamara Morrison and Ming-Na Wen. Icons, love them. I did that. Last year, I went on a more content focus as I focused on the 3 shows that were on that year. And I did take part in Star Wars Podcast Day last year as well. I'll put the link in the description below for the episode, so please check it out. Also, like I said, please check out other podcasters. They are brilliant and they deserve a lot of appreciation. So I entertain on this podcast as well. I try to put comedy gold. I do impressions. I also do comedy rants on certain things, which I try to be a bit less serious on, but I still try to do it the best I can. And as I said, it's Doctor Who and Star Wars content. It's time to look at Din Grogu's road to Mandalorian Apprentice. I want to start with the charm Grogu has. He charms a lot of his allies. Like P.I. Motto, he has this huge respect and makes her happy. And that's a huge thing. Shout out to Palmo there. So the charm is why I get invested in his story. Especially in Series 3 when he starts to be more involved in the Mandalorian society. Of course, these consist of the armourer, who he often hangs out with. He charms Bo-Katan Kryze and breaks up a fight between Paz Vizsla and Axe Woves. He has a huge impact in this group, and I think it's important to see that as he grows as a Mandalorian. Grogu impacts other Mandos on his journey. An example is when he returns the armor to let his dad have the chance to redeem himself after removing his helmet to say goodbye temporarily. I think another situation is when he's able to persuade Bo to rescue his father after the cyborg, yes, that naughty cyborg, captures him on Mandalore. What if I flipped it around? Grogu stops Axel and Apprentice a fight, and then they rescue him when he can't get off the ship they're travelling on Mandalore. And I like that domino effect, because when your actions allow someone else to return the favour, I like this domino effect that Grogu has when he has these actions he does and then they return the favour. It's so wonderful. What I said about this domino effect is definitely a sign of a Mandalorian, especially with children as their future Mandalorians, like Grogu himself. There is this thread by @saladish_dumb on social media. He did a thread on the Mandalorian season 3 and creating a world worthy of our children. It is a great thread to read. I'll put the link in the description below. Thank you @saladish_dumb for creating this thread. Sticking with Grogu's charm with Yama, yes. They earn respect for each other. He listens to her when she gives him the talk that triggers yes or the 66. That is so traumatic, okay? Poor guy, poor Jack. I still think the scene is emotional, and it still triggers Grogu to this day when he hears large sounds like in the Force, similar to Tim back on Navarro. She is like a second mentor to Grogu, especially when he's founding. She gives him his first piece of armor, which is there shown why it was written, what it protects him from. That silly metal holding piece in that room. I think she is important to Grogu's journey, especially when she allows the adoption to happen. I will get to that later on in the episode. I feel the armor is important to Grogu's journey with all that I've just mentioned, because as Emily Saul has said on social media about the armor as a whole, it still applies right now. Grogu ends up earning respect of Bo-Katan Kryze as well. She hypes him up in his duel against Rugger and is impressed by his heroics, and asks if Din taught him that, but Din always says no family. She smiles when he's knighted by the good and kind Duchess. Yes, I said good and kind Duchess, because there's a bad Duchess on the way. She defends and protects him from the Inferno and Moff Gideon in the Battle of Mandalore. Grogu focuses on improving his Force training. I love that he has become more confident, and his control of the Force is definitely, it's impressive. I like the fact that he has a lot more successful moments when he manages to stay awake after and do big things. Although he is also a hit in IG-12, though he's only in it for 2 episodes, the impact and the growth is so crucial, as this leads to the big battle and shows his dad that he is ready to be the apprentice. I explained a lot of this next topic in my last episode, so please check it out as I go into detail about the whole Series 3 plot, and I'll put the link in the description down below so you can check it out. Grogu is instrumental in this whole effort, Mandalorian effort to reclaim the home planet. If he didn't get Bo-Katan Kryze's help, all this wouldn't have happened. That's why the first 2 episodes are so important, especially with Grogu's involvement. So please go on Disney Plus and watch the first 2 episodes, because they really are important, in my honest opinion. I love that when he joins his father again, he's used more, and he ends up being very heroic and becomes a hero throughout the first series of The Mandalorian. Throughout his road to Apprentice, he is coached by Din Djarin. I feel like the whole relationship is really important, as he believes that Grogu is capable of doing so many things, and that's what makes this story arc work. Din is focused on Grogu being educated on navigating and the history of Mandalore. Grogu has saved his dad on a number of occasions, but the most important one is when he's captured by the Imperial remnants that work for Moff Gideon, and joins forces with his dad and Bo to defeat Moff Gideon. The teamwork is a sip of why I love the Din so much. The little yell from Grogu when he sees his father in trouble and is determined to help out, it's just so beautiful, and I just love how it's set out. Before I move on, I want to talk about the adoption. Grogu was this time that he couldn't move up as the Mandalorian apprentice as he couldn't speak the creed and he didn't have any parents until Din decides to adopt Grogu. And he's now automatically an apprentice. Grogu's reaction is wholesome, it makes me emotional as it's so beautiful, and I feel like I love him a lot more, and I feel like, you know, he wants to get better. He doesn't want to be like going the old ways. He just wants to move on and become a Mandalorian like his dad. I love the whole storyline with Grogu. He moves me, he entertains me. He's no longer a damsel as he was in the first 2 series. I feel like this is the route I want him to take going forward, because I like it when they're strong and not as damsel, because it does kind of become a bit of a negative trait, and I don't really want characters to go for that. I'm still invested in his storyline because he is well written by Jon Favreau, and he has the Jodie Whittaker effect. That's another story. What I mean, the story reminds me of the struggles Jodie's doctor went through with the divisive. Yes, this divisive story arc. That's also going to be mentioned at some point. The puppetry, the vocals, the charm, all contributes to how Grogu is. There's just a lot of it I really enjoy. Like, the moment when Grogu gets his first piece of armor, I'm like moved and touched because it just shows his reaction. I think him having a good fit and the Duchess on Plaza 15 is touching, and he is a knight as well. Sir Grogu, loved that addition. What he did in the Mines of Mandalore was so iconic. I just love the fact that he goes to get Bo and comes back to help his dad, and I personally love that because it makes me think that, okay, Grogu is now starting to be a bit more independent, but also be a viable team player. I felt Richard Robinson did a great job with the direction and how Grogu reacted. I still think it's one of the best episodes in TV. My next episode is all about the Bad Batch Series 3 as I previewed. I talk Omega, Hunter, I talk Royce Hemlock, yes, Emery Carr, all that to come. That's my thoughts on Grogu's road to Apprentice. What's your favourite scene? Comment down below or at Fast122 on social media. I love to hear what you have to say, so please get in touch. I want to say a huge thank you to at Star Wars Pod Day. Please check out all the other podcasters taking part. Thank you for listening, and I will see you in the next episode. Happy Star Wars Podcast Day, and may the Force be with you. Goodbye, everyone. Thank you for listening to Phasma and Jarrins. Please get in touch at Phasma122 on social media. If you love anything I do, please subscribe to the Phasma and Jarrins YouTube channel. I hope you enjoyed listening to this podcast, and I'll see you in the next episode. Bye-bye. Thank you for listening to the podcast. Subscribe to Phasma and Jarrins and stay tuned for more